You're listening to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
How does the pandemic impact campus ministries and campuses as well? How is it impacting our Concordia universities? And how are the Concordia universities making the most of this time and using this as an opportunity to carry out their mission and serve their communities? Joining us today, Dr. Donald Christian, President and CEO of Concordia University, Texas. Dr. Christian, thanks for being our guest today.
Glad to be here, Andy and Sarah. Thanks for inviting me.
How has the pandemic impacted the campus community at Concordia University, Texas?
Well, as you know, with almost every college in the country, we stopped having operations on campus at the very end of March. We sent our students home for spring break, and we haven't seen them since. And faculty and staff dispersed a week later, and we haven't seen them since. But we are continuing education, we are continuing work, we are continuing recruitment, and we are continuing activities, albeit in a virtual mode. And so while we have physically distanced ourselves, we're working really hard not to socially distance ourselves.
Mm-hmm. How are the students finishing up the semester now that it's nearly graduation time for seniors and all of these things are kind of culminating without actually being in person? What does that actually look like for the students right now?
Well, we were fortunate enough to have started our semester early, so we actually have our graduation day this coming Saturday, which is, and I just talked about Saturday, coming up very soon. So we've only had 3 weeks of coursework and 1 week of finals.
Wow.
What that does for them is it accelerates their learning. And they've done a fantastic job of that. We just have launched a survey over the last week of all of our students, and the response has been nothing short of spectacular, both about their learning experience, staying in touch with their faculty. What we hear from them is they miss their friends, we hear and they miss their faculty and professors, and they miss those end-of-year events. And I think that's true for schools across the country as we kind of rethink that. So rather than have commencement on this Saturday, it will be a quick, short celebration online, a virtual commencement, so to speak, but we will actually hold our actual commencement, God willing, August 1st.
Huh.
So still holding out and hoping that there will be an opportunity to hold an event in person.
We are really planning to be in person, face-to-face, come August. And again, as you well know, we all are watching day by day what happens. And those first couple of weeks, we were making decisions hour by hour sometimes. We're now making decisions day by day and week by week. We hope that slows down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah, I think we're all experiencing that.
Yeah.
How has this, we've talked about how this has impacted the students. How has this impacted faculty and staff as well?
So again, kind of throwing us all into a different way of thinking. One of the things we like to say here is never waste a good crisis. And so we've learned to do our work differently and in some ways better, I would say. Having to use tools like Zoom, having to use tools like Blackboard Collaborate, having to use online tools that allow us to communicate with each other in different ways, whether it's with faculty to student, faculty to faculty, staff to staff, staff with student, really kind of brings us into a very close proximity, oftentimes easier than if we have to walk across campus or get on the phone with somebody. So I'm going to say I'm so proud of our faculty and staff as they've adapted really well to this and have done a fantastic job in taking on these added responsibilities and new way of doing things and new ways of communicating to make it possible for students to learn and for us to continue our work of serving students.
So speaking of serving and of doing new things and taking opportunity when the opportunities present themselves, with students off campus, that means dorms are vacant. So how is Concordia serving the community with these buildings that now present an opportunity?
Yeah, we had a fantastic opportunity put before us just early last week in which the Austin and Travis County EMS Employee Association asked if we could use our residence halls to help house first responders. And it really is to help them reduce exposure to family members. So first responder who is consistently calling on people with respiratory disease, COVID-19, rather than go home and expose their family to that risk, they will come into Concordia, stay in one of our residence halls in between shifts. We have available to them a place to eat, sleep. We have available a place to shower. We have wonderful walking trails around campus, a place to relax, restaurants across the road from us, in which they can grab a quick meal before they come to their room or back on their way to the shift. It's been an amazing outreach to the community. It's part of our value of caring for people, and the response has been fantastic in the Austin area.
What a way to serve. For listeners not familiar with the Concordia University Texas campus, give us a description of what that campus looks like and where you're located.
Well, I'm actually right now sitting in my office looking at my window, and I'm looking out on about 250 acres of natural preserve. It is green. We are located on about 400 acres just west of downtown Austin, and 250 of that is set aside as a wildlife preserve, and it is just beautiful. We have trails on our campus. It is open. It is spacious, and there's nothing like it in the world. What can I say? I'm a little prejudiced.
So now that with students being gone, it's probably remarkably quiet on campus out in the forest preserve. So this really could be a quiet respite as well for those who are frontline workers who need a chance to rest and get away without fear or concern about bringing something home to their family that they're hoping not to bring home if they're on taking that risk because of their work. So having this chance to take rest there, and as you pointed out, to get a meal and just be cared for, that's outstanding. How is this a part of Concordia's mission?
Well, when we think about our mission, our vision, our values, that whole strategic framework that comes together, we don't accomplish our mission of preparing students for their meaningful work without partnering with the community. And so we know how important that piece of the puzzle is in our mission. And so when we think about our value of being Christ-centered, our value of caring for people, our mission of preparing leaders for lives of service, all those come together in helping make this happen. This was a no-brainer for us, right? The request comes. We worked hard to work with all the entities on campus and in the community to make that happen. And it's something, one of the things we realize, too, is that so many of our graduates are first responders. We have a very large nursing program, over 400 students currently enrolled in that, a lot of them getting their degree later in life to become a nurse, and they're out there on those front lines. We see what they go through to prepare for that. We are so proud of our alums who are doing that in that field, and we may even have a couple of them coming back to campus to stay here to protect their families.
Wow, that's a great connection point to even have alumni that could be part of this response to the community. How does this opening up your dorms strengthen your relationships with the surrounding community and the first responders in the Austin area?
So one of the things I can say is that we really have a fantastic relationship with our community. While we are off the road just a little bit in this preserve, we are surrounded by homes and families and businesses that see Concordia as a part of the greater Austin area, but especially this tight-knit community right here where we're located. I think what they're seeing is that we are not isolated, we are not insulated. We don't just think about ourselves, we think about the greater good. And ultimately, again, with our mission of helping build people of compassionate action, courageous leadership, and critical thinkers, they see that as just an extension of what we do. It's not just about students, it's about the greater good of the whole community.
Moving forward, I know you said we all don't know what the timeline looks like, but what are you looking forward to in the future? God willing, we're able to bring students back to campus in the not so distant future. What are you looking forward to, Dr. Christian?
Well, here at Concordia University, Texas, one of the things I keep saying is when everybody gets back, we're having one heck of a Texas-sized party, and we will we will get together and celebrate. I'm not sure if we'll hug one another right away, as we have in the past, right? But I think what will be different is that people will appreciate the sense of community that's so important. I'm hoping that they get to know people in a different way, that they will appreciate the fact of working in a collaborative, collegial manner, and that they will have new tools at their hands to get their work done differently. I believe that we will come together in a different sense of purpose in some ways. And one of the things we talk about is we don't know what the reaction of families and students and others coming back will be, but we hope to make this a place of respite. We hope to make it a place of hospitality, of safety, of care. And again, that all flows out of our sense of being Christ-centered. Our care for people goes way beyond just caring for them as humans. We care for them as children of God. And that looks and feels different. And sometimes it's hard to describe what that means, but everybody who comes to this campus knows it, sees it, understands it.
Dr. Donald Christian, President and CEO of Concordia University, Texas. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, the Concordia, Texas story today, and how you're serving in your community during this time of pandemic.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Sarah.
You're listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
The Coffee Hour with Andy and Sarah is a production of KFUO. To support the Coffee Hour and KFUO Radio, visit KFUO.org. You can also text KFUO to 41444 or send an email to gifts@KFUO.org. And you can call us at 800-844-0524. KFUO. Christ for you, anytime, anywhere.